Hello, this is the 45th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2222, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. So, another week, another episode. If you're hearing this episode, let us know. We will tell you at the end of the episode.
How to do that, yeah. We won't tell you now. We don't want to spoil it.
It's a cliffhanger for all those new
reason
listeners.
to keep listening, or to skip to the end, but to keep listening.
Exactly, keep listening, yeah. We have this podcast from the year 2222. And every week we speak about a tech topic or topic that we kind of think could be tech related.
We started off, right, this was our initial intention, was only to speak about tech stuff. Occasionally, though, we have ideas for other things, and so we talk about those too.
And also, I think pretty much everything around us somehow has some sort of technology in it. We can basically speak about our socks at some point, you know. So lots of things to talk about. This week we speak about cams. So, want to explain what they are?
So cams, so they're cameras. They're everywhere. They're in everything. They see everything. They're always on. And what that means is that it's very easy to communicate with other people. You can see each other in real time. It's also useful if you forget something. So you can see things in real time, and what they see is recorded. So if you ever forget anything or want to refer back to something in your life or a friend's life or anyone's life, it's possible to review past information too.
Yeah, and it's the really useful thing is that they're really pretty much in everything. I think almost everything comes with a camera.
Yep.
You know, a Congo, a teleporter, but there are shoes with cameras, and of course you have the hover cams that are, well, everywhere you go basically. And they're also so small, so mostly you don't see them anymore, and they're all connected.
Right, and not just in the sense connected, not just in the sense that you can look at them or review them, but in the sense that the imagery is all stitched together. So say I want to walk down the street where I used to play as a child, I can do that. Like it takes the imagery from many different hundreds or thousands or millions of cameras, and then through my lens I can see that world and look around in it, and even see myself. What was I doing when I was 5 years old, for example? Well, not 5 years old in my case, but I've been around too long. I think I've only experienced the world with them, but it's also a thing with a lot of these things that we take for granted. I mean, we're now episode 45, and now we think of telling you guys about this, you know, because it's a very stable technology. It's not the kind of thing where every year there's a new model, so that's why it doesn't come up in that sense. But we were thinking, exactly what kinds of things would still be interesting to the past, even if they are not so much to us, and this seems like one of them, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Especially, like I say, I can review my life, like I can look back at anything I did, but the further back I go, so I can't, younger than 45, I can't see anything, because cams didn't exist then. When I was 45, that's when they really started becoming a thing, but then it's still patchy. So if I look back to when I was 45, maybe I catch a glimpse of myself here or there, but I can't really review every step. But from when I was about 75, from 75 till now, okay, I can really review everything.
In the beginning was also, as far as I understand, because, I mean, when I was born, they were already there. Yeah. But as far as I understand, in the beginning, people weren't convinced. Some countries had them, some didn't, and then for a while they were forbidden.
Yeah. Right, it wasn't global, it was just some places had it, exactly. And also, actually, right at the start, so actually, before I was 45, there were cams. You could review information in real time, but the information wasn't stored.
Yeah.
So that's why I can't look back before then. From when I was 45, that's when they started recording some of them. And like I say, from around 75, my age of 75, then it was where everything is just recorded all the time. But actually, the way they solved that, because there's a whole lot of storage, rather than recording each individual video stream separately, that's when it all became amalgamated and basically just one history. Yeah, taking all the information, recording it.
And I think that's the late, maybe after the drone cams. That was really the only really big thing that happened there. Since then, it's just been...
Yeah, I mean, right. Yeah, early on there were improvements in So, the cameras themselves could record really great detail, but storing that much information, like I say, was the issue. But by now, for many decades, it's been the case that no worries there. Everything can be stored really great detail. It doesn't need to be improved anymore. Yeah, like there's no advantage to having higher resolution imagery or storing higher resolution audio or anything like that.
Do you ever look back at anything?
Not really, no. But you can.
Me either.
It's there. It's useful. When you say you're talking with a friend about something, you say, "Hey, didn't you say that thing last time?" And you don't remember, and they don't really. Well, they're insisting one thing, you're insisting another. Okay, how about you just both go and check?
Yeah.
So for that kind of thing, it's useful, but I don't tend to just, especially like my long ago life, I don't tend to go looking back at that.
I mean, I know that when I have like a great evening, like a great party, or I'm at an awesome location, or something cool suddenly happened, or whatever, I'm like, I'm gonna look at this later, and occasionally
it's useful actually. So I don't look back really far, but what I do once a year. Usually I do it once a year. Some people do it twice a year. So in May or in November, I usually do it in November. I look back to pick out photos to make a calendar.
Cool.
To give to my friends and family, And what's nice about that, you're not such a close friend, you haven't got one. It's mostly for family.
Okay, I was going to say next time I want one.
I said friends and family because I was speaking on a podcast. Basically, it's just for family. You can have one next time. Yeah. But what's handy is I think that is a big difference from our time to when we're sending this back 200 years ago. Because everything is recorded all of the time, there's no need to take a photograph in the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't have people holding up rectangles in front of their faces, trying to record stuff. You can just live in the moment, do whatever, because you can go back later, review. You remember, hey, on that day, there was that really nice whatever. Go back and review it later, pull out the imagery you want, make a calendar.
I mean, I can take photos with my lens, right? So I just...
sure, in the moment if you want to.
But I also never really do that because I know this is being, recorded, stored anyway. If I later think, that would be nice, but I never do that. I know it's there, and I remember, hey, if I want to think back on my holiday on Cuba or whatever, I know I can just go back and kind of like re-experience it, but I never do. It's like I make new experiences instead of like...
rather than... looking back so much. You don't do like me then a yearly or a twice yearly calendar. Not calendar necessarily, but photos.
I hadn't thought of it.
Okay.
Now I'm kind of intrigued.
I think it's an old-fashioned idea. My parents, I grew up with it. My parents doing that. So,
I mean, what I like is that you can make puzzles. But then, But then, if you can make puzzles of everything that ever happened, it doesn't have to be like that thing that I saw, It's like, say you experience some amazing thing somewhere and then, you tell me about this. I can experience that as well. When was this?
Right.
I'm going to check that out.
I mean, they're called cams, so people in the past can imagine that is imagery. And I've mentioned sound because there is also sound recorded alongside the imagery. There isn't smell or touch. So you can experience it in the sense of seeing and hearing what I saw and heard. You won't get the temperature or though there are, that can be simulated from weather data, but you know what I mean? You don't have touch. You don't have the smells, things like that.
I understood that they were helpful in reducing the crime rate. Because everything is recorded all the time.
Well, like I was saying earlier, how you have a disagreement with a friend about what you said last week. That's obviously that's a benign version of this. But sure, any kind of crime is recorded in that way, and so can be reviewed and established what happened very easily.
Or if you put your hoverboard down and you take a walk, come back, your hoverboard is gone. The
main questions now in terms of. Criminal prosecutions and such of intent. You can see exactly what happened. You can hear exactly what happened. You won't necessarily know why it happened.
Yeah,
and that's where there's still room for argument and so on.
True. What I find interesting is that cams are everywhere. I like the ones that are attached to moving objects. So you have them attached to cars, shoes, pets.
Yep.
And
hoverballs.
Yeah, hoverballs. I hadn't thought of that, but of course, because that's what I like. I don't like really looking back for some reason at something that happened.
No.
But relive. Like checking a cam as things happen.
I see.
That I like.
Right now.
Like static or moving ones where you can basically just go somewhere in the world in your lens, connect to the cam and follow a dog around. Just see what the dog sees.
Yeah. That's and actually I was saying there aren't new developments, and there aren't really new developments with this year. There was a possible avenue for this to be improved that was considered and tried and basically forgotten because no one wanted it. But we can tell the people 200 years ago about it. So we're saying, you can look at everything that's ever happened, so back to a certain point, and you can see whatever is happening right now. And using predictive technology, the idea was, hey, let's, based on everything that's happening and everything we know about what's happened, how about we predict what's going to happen? Because, certain things move through space in a certain direction at a certain velocity. No one wanted it. Or rather, people did want it for all kinds of reasons, but it wasn't actually
didn't
accurate.
really work.
And it gave you like 2 seconds, which
okay.
Yeah.
It's you throw a ball, you probably know where it's going to go.
That kind of thing, exactly. Like some object moving through space. Okay, you can predict where it's going to go next. You couldn't predict. No, you couldn't predict like lottery numbers or things like that.
Okay, I can imagine if you got everything ever, then maybe at one point you get that far. But okay, what I would like to see is wild animals.
Ooh.
Because that's something that I think they started and then stopped. So I think they monitor like some zebra herds or something like that where they have cameras on them. But by default, not all wild animals.
Right, not every one of them.
I think that would be really nice.
That's the thing where when you get to an area, so in a city, you can, either in real time or reviewing the past, you can look from any angle at anything at any level of detail.
Yeah.
In the places where zebras live, you can look at the zebras from like one fixed or a few fixed points, like from hoverboards up in the sky. Yeah. You can't go deep down, like amongst the grass, amongst their legs, and so on, because there aren't cameras down there. Or cams.
What I think I use them mostly for, let's say, 2-3 things. I mean games. Maybe we can speak about that a little bit later. But I'm checking the weather before you teleport there. Because teleportation costs money, which we
didn't do that a few weeks ago, but exactly, that's a really good use for it.
Yeah, for those people, the episode on Down to Earth camps, we spontaneously used the teleporter, but we didn't check where we were teleporting to, and the weather was really bad. Yeah.
But when you remember to, you can use a cam and you can check what the weather is like wherever you want to go.
Yes, if I go for my morning run, then it's useful to check. Is my usual run course at the moment in good weather? Why not? Check somewhere else. What is maybe something we should point out is the cameras are everywhere. They are in public areas, but also private, of course. They're in all your devices. Like around your house, there's probably hundreds here.
Just everywhere. It wouldn't be useful otherwise. I mean, sure, it'd be useful when you go outside, but if you couldn't then also review your own life in your own home, you would lose a lot of value. And it's one of the areas where even though my parents were very paranoid about it, I've made my peace with it, because the utility of being able to review everything I've ever done, like sometimes I just wonder, hey, I didn't sleep so well. How was I sleeping last night? And of course, if I had thought beforehand, I could have set up a camera. I'm not going to do that, but because it's possible to review it easily, I can see, my arm was twisted in a funny way. That's why I woke up with it being numb, something like that.
I like it when I'm connecting to my friends or family through my lens, where what I see is not necessarily them staring into a device, but them just being at home.
Right. Walking around.
Exactly.
Talking, taking care of, tidying up, whatever.
They move to the kitchen, I can just follow them around. It's just jump from cam to cam.
Same for them.
Yeah.
If you're having a conversation, I mean.
Exactly. I can...
you just... for example, right now you are actually here at my place, and we walk into the kitchen to get a fresh drink or whatever, we can keep speaking, and we don't think about it. And it's like that when you're talking with a friend or a family or whoever in their house or wherever. You can just, it feels for both of you that you're just alongside each other. You don't feel like you're speaking through a media, something in between you.
Yeah, I still find it a little tricky if I'm basically chatting with my mom a lot like that, where I basically have her layered on top of what I see myself. So she's walking around doing something in the house. I'm walking around doing something in the house while we're chatting to each other. Sometimes I have to watch out not to bump into things.
I mean, there's an advantage when you're talking with someone. If they have the house exactly the same layout as your own, then there's a big advantage, you know, like if their kitchen, if everything is in the same position, you really can walk. And obviously things are a little different, you know, you have different stuff in the fridge, different pictures on the walls, but you don't bump into walls or walk somewhere where you can't.
Maybe that's the reason, you know, Iceland has been making these modular apartments, right, where you can just basically buy and they just...
Yeah, it's... I mean, I don't know anyone who has the same layout as my place, but I can definitely see the benefit. Do you know anyone who has the same layout as yours? Like not your mum, but anyone else, or it's not come up?
In my blog, everybody has the same. I think.
So if you spoke with someone from them, so the place I grew up, obviously I haven't lived there in a long time, but the houses. So there were 10 houses in a row, and the house next to you was the mirror image of your own. So we didn't have cams back then, but you know, if you had been speaking with them, that wouldn't have helped you because it's a mirror image. But if you spoke with the house one door along, then it was really the same layout as yours. Okay. You know, I noticed it when I went to a friend's house. It was like, so if a friend was in the one, how would you say? So if I'm living in the odd numbers, and they're in the even numbers, So the even numbers are the mirrored images, So when I went round a friend's house and they were in one of the even numbers, it'd be like, this feels weird. It's like the same but mirrored. And then, going to another one's in the odd numbers, this feels weird because it's like my house but different furniture, but you know, not...
I mean, that's also, even without cams, that's going to be super
that's what I'm saying. It was long ago, but... So now I haven't had a conversation using a cam in another house that was the same layout as mine, but I can speculate what it might have been like, or what it would be like.
I think it also makes sense to point out that like the public cams are publicly accessible to everybody. The private cams, you can prevent other people accessing
Right. It's not open.
Footage.
Exactly. Public is open to everyone. Private is only open to you and to those you give permission to, like someone you're talking to. And within your house, you can have zones. Like for example, my bathroom, only I can review that footage.
Yeah.
And when I visit someone else's house, I can. So my default is no one can review the footage of me being in the bathroom except myself.
Because at the moment you are
I'm in someone else's
detected.
House.
Oh, I hadn't thought of this that far, I must admit.
I mean, it's like a default I set up so long ago. I haven't thought about it since, but you know, it's, in my case, something. I say I'm not in this regard. So my parents were very paranoid about technology. I am also in many other regards. I want the advantages of the cams, so I'm not so paranoid. You know, I have made my peace with it. Yeah, okay, I still don't want people watching me go to the toilet, so...
But it's also good to know that like even if you have a completely private security up to the max, that only you can see it, or maybe you can't even see it. The government, of course, still.
Of course, that only makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, and I think Faceplant is managing the cam network.
Trusted.
So I mean, in the past they may have did some things, but now they're probably all right. So. They don't have access to it themselves, but the government, of course, can say, I wonder what Simon's up to, and then check.
They can do. With a warrant or whatever.
We mentioned games. And that's, I think that I use it for a lot. Like it's if you think about it, even you listener from 200 years ago, you can probably think about this for half an hour and come up with a few interesting games. If you actually can see everything everywhere that ever happened, you know, just imagine the cool things you can do. And I was thinking maybe we can play a game of Red Dress. I'm not sure how useful this is going to be because it's a visual game and we're making an audio recording.
We can describe without words.
Shall I describe it?
Please do.
So the game is called Red Dress, and it's basically, I mean, you can use house rules, but the basic premise is you mention an object, let's say a red dress, and then you basically hit the cam network on your lens, and the first to find a red dress wins.
Yep. So in this case, because there's just the two of us, we're playing separately, so it's a competition between the two of us. With more people, you can do it in teams, but with just 2 people, and with many people, you can also do it separately. We're not doing the team version, we're just doing the independent version. Exactly. You will look, I will look, and whoever finds a red dress first says, hey, and then shows the image.
Exactly, then we can put it on the central lens system, and then everybody who's participating can see, ping, Simon found a red dress, here's the image, here's the cam that it's connected to. And that's basically it. I mean, there are lots of rules where you have to limit yourself to, I don't know, Zimbabwe or...
geographical region or a time frame, you can't go beyond a certain point back, for example.
Or it has to be outside.
Or it has to be within a certain time. You can't go, it has to be at least 10 years ago, for example, or something.
Yeah, or it has to be live. So, shall we play around? You want to say the object?
I mean, let's stick with red dress.
You would try red dress?
Yep, red dress.
Okay. Then...
So 3, I'll do the countdown.
All right.
And then we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. We're going to be silent now while looking for
we're looking,
things.
yeah. So, imagine us, our eyes flickering back and forth, our fingers twitching in midair for no reason.
I'm going to say where I'm checking.
Yeah, that's good.
So I'm going to go for evening parties.
I've got it already, so I'm cheating. So here's the thing. I mean, okay, you shouldn't... Okay, I'm cheating twice.
I'm seeing it.
Yeah. I'm cheating twice because basically I said, okay, you asked me what should we look for. I said what we should look for. The name of the game is Red Dress, yeah? The first thing anyone looks for when they play this game is a red dress. So I just rewound to the point where I first saw a red dress. I showed you that,
Yeah, okay.
Got it bookmarked.
You got it bookmarked. Okay. I was gonna go look for some evening party, somebody wearing a red dress.
That's where it makes sense to limit it, like you say, to limit it to real time. That I can't just look back at an image I saw 10 years ago.
But it's true, you have to specify the rules up front. We didn't say that. But I was still thinking, what's the right time zone? Where is it evening now?
You're thinking in the present, sure.
Yeah.
And another way you can, especially when you're looking for clothing, you can, for example, say, and you're not allowed to go to a clothes store. It has to be on someone walking around in the world,
Shall we do one more and then we do live?
Yeah. Wait, what? This is the live one now, no?
No, but I mean, we don't look at past recordings. We just look at live.
Yeah. No, that's good. Let's do that now. Only look, exactly. No looking back at the past. You have to look in real time right now. You can suggest what we're looking for.
Wooden shoes.
Wooden shoes. Okay. So do you want to do it?
I can do countdown. 3, 2, 1.
Eyeballs are flickering back and forth, all twitchy.
So we didn't set any further rules, right?
No. Wooden shoes. On a person, yeah?
No.
We didn't say that. That's true.
Okay, I'm gonna. I know. I'm saying wooden shoes because of my heritage.
Sure.
I'm sure there is some museum.
I mean, I've got different
in
ones.
Holland.
In my mind, I've got different wooden shoes. I'm looking, but I can't find anyone wearing them. I think they're too old-fashioned.
I can't access the Natural History Museum in Leiden.
Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, I guess we didn't say. I'm looking for real people walking around. We can look in museums. Okay, I'm going to go somewhere else.
I'm now checking the tourist shops in it. Yeah, I found them.
In a shop.
Yeah, it's here in the shop.
Yeah,
we didn't say
no,
shop.
That's true. I had in my head I had limited it myself to looking for people actually walking around in the world with them. But sure, in a shop. Yeah. Those are wooden shoes.
I'm not sure how fun this is for listeners.
It's a game that's fun to play, but it doesn't lend itself well to audio only.
Okay. Well, maybe then 2 rounds is enough.
Yeah.
But it's actually like I like it. I can play it for all evening, but maybe live on a podcast.
Well, what's nice is when you're playing it, I was trying to describe what it looked like. So I was saying, my eyes are twitching. Obviously, I don't think that while I'm playing it, I'm just trying to paint a word picture for you all. What's fun about when you're playing it is you don't have to think in terms of words. You really can just, you're not having to type search words into keywords into a search engine. You're just thinking where you want to go, and then you're there, and then you're looking, really looking around. And that's part of what makes it fun. You see all kinds of things.
I like to basically go into crowds.
Yeah.
And then just go through the crowd.
And go through at the level of, especially in a big city, go through at the level of a rat walking around, and then you can really see everyone, in this case, everyone's shoes up really close. I mean, you went to a shop, but I was looking around on rat cams, trying to see. But I wasn't having any luck with the wooden shoes was the problem.
This is a good point, actually. Rat cams, for shoes, I'll have to remember that for next time.
In big cities, depends where you are.
But see, there's lots of tricks.
Yeah.
I know they have them in pubs.
Mm-hmm.
They play rat race a lot in pubs. They have it in fizzles.
Mm-hmm.
They play but then they have really.
Then you have pub quiz, so where you have teams.
Yeah. But they have really strict rules, of course. They just
sure.
kind of basically.
But the fun is the rules. Each round has fresh rules. It's not like you can prepare before. Before you go, you can't know what the rules are going to be because then you could prepare too easily. Okay, you can only look in this region at this time. Okay, well then I'll look beforehand.
But still, practice. If you practice a lot, you still know. Okay, I know this region, those camps that.
Sure, it's partly what you know already, and then what you can think sideways, how you can think laterally.
I think that's basically it for the camps. Like with any topic we have, if you have questions, let us know. I was thinking we were going to answer some user questions, but maybe we share a little bit our experience about the Mercury Blackout.
Oh, right, yeah. We mentioned that last time.
Yeah, we had another one last Tuesday. So we won't go into details, but it's basically Mercury is where we get our energy power from. It's solar power, but it goes over Mercury. Sometimes it's just lined up or whatever where we don't get solar power for. Sometimes it's half an hour, sometimes it's a couple of hours. You never know exactly.
Right, the blackout itself is longer because obviously we have battery reserves here on Earth, But the issue is that the blackout on Mercury is so long that it actually affects the backup here.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to basically limit really your use of energy. But everybody knows up front, so you can prepare, and it's not a big deal. But of course, everything uses energy, so it's still something you have to be conscious about. And we had one last Tuesday, I think. At least for me, I think it lasted throughout the night, pretty much.
Yeah, and that was my trick. I just slept through it. So like you say, we knew when it was coming. So the one thing I don't have is for that night, I don't have a video recording of me sleeping. It's fine. I don't need it for every night.
And usually you play Zwave Ball, right?
Right, but not when I'm sleeping.
No,
So,
no, but it means you couldn't have played Zwave Ball because of the blackout.
Exactly, yeah. Couldn't have played that because it requires electricity, of course. But yourself, what did you do?
I actually went to Napoleon's because I told him about it, and he hadn't. Somebody would have told him eventually, but he heard it from me specifically, and then he's always a little bit worried. For the listeners who didn't listen to the episode on robots, Napoleon is a robot. They're sentient, so they're completely independent. They don't need a lot, they're not so tricky like us humans, but they do need energy. And if there's no energy, they get nervous. Now they have a battery, they are charged and so on. But we basically went to his place. We lit candles, we played board games. We had everything switched off. And we also had him on...
Like in low power mode?
Yeah, on low power mode.
Like he had all his RGB LEDs switched off, I guess.
Yeah, we didn't move around a lot. We, of course, with no energy, so the lights were just basically the candles, so he didn't need a lot of... Basically, he didn't want to be switched off, obviously, but just on really low power. And then, it's never a problem, but he's still a little bit nervous. So I just visit him. X can even buy.
Yep.
They have more power issues, but they have a massive battery, so they were definitely less worried. Yeah, that's what I did.
Okay, that sounds fun. What board games did you play?
We played, what's the one called? Boxes and arrows. Yeah. So, with the figures that you move around.
Sure. That's a good one to play with a robot. They don't have too much of an advantage. Some games, a robot, or some games a human will have too much of an advantage. Some games a robot will have too much of an advantage. That one's really well balanced. Yeah,
and it's basically you roll a dice, so it doesn't really matter. And also, it doesn't require a lot of thinking, so it doesn't need a lot of battery, and it doesn't get you upset a lot, because there's no loser, so it doesn't require a lot of battery. That's the thing you have to keep in mind if you during a Mercury Blackout. And then I think the next one is a couple of months away, so we're good for a while. Shall we do some user questions before we close off?
Yeah, let's do that.
I think that talking about robots is a nice transition because we had a lot of questions about the robot episode. A lot of questions about the Robot Buddy program. As we mentioned it, I didn't mention it in the episode, but it's officially called the Robot Human Cooperation Initiative or something like that. We just call it the robot buddy program. The robots actually call it the human buddy program.
Yeah.
So it's not for us to help the robots. It's for us to basically get a mutual understanding of each other. So.
Yeah.
But we had a few more questions. Maybe we can each...
Yeah, like I can read the question, you can read the answer, then you read the question, then I read the answer.
Sure.
Oh, not read the answer, but answer the question. So first question. So the username is Binga Binga Binga, and they write, really loved the episode on robots. One question: are robots male or female?
That's a good question. Like by default, robots don't have a gender.
Right.
But like how they can choose their own name and their own identity, they are free to want to be addressed as male or female. So that happens. Like with humans, it's actually the same thing nowadays. Like by default, they are genderless, and if they choose, they can want to be addressed as male or female or not.
Yeah.
Shall I do the next question?
Yep.
It's from John Bastian. He asks, who raises robots?
So they're not... so like, humans, they're born and often, so usually raised by their parents. Robots are not born exactly. I mean, they're assembled and then they're switched on. But when they're switched on, they are mentally the equivalent of like a 25-year-old human. Yeah. They can speak, they can move around in the world, they understand social niceties, things like that. But still, they have no first-hand experience. And so for that, they have peer groups of other robots and who have been around for a while, and they will help, their friends. So then they say, hey, new robot, come along with me, let's hang out. And that's how they can build up experience of actually living in the world.
I like that system, but it's they basically don't have a childhood.
Not like humans. They're never in a point where they can't speak, can't move, have no idea what's going on, and then slowly build it up. No, they are switched on. The equivalent, roughly, yeah.
No childhood traumas. No parent that says you can't eat that. Right, it's too sweet. None of that.
Nope.
It's interesting.
And they have when they're switched on, they're not all the same as one another. It's not that they're switched on and they're all the same and then they diverge. When they're switched on, randomly generated personality and not really memories, but just randomly generated stuff is instantiated in their mind, and they go from that point onward.
Yeah, and then they evolve from that point onwards, and they go in all directions, but they start out fresh.
Yep, and can go much faster, or do develop much faster than humans, because they're not limited by a human brain. But it is still important for them to have their own experiences, rather than just memories that have been implanted, and that's where their peer group comes in.
Yeah, totally. So who raises robots? They are
robots.
Yeah, exactly. They basically raise themselves and each other. But we're not so different, but that's where we're different. It takes us 25 years to get where they are within seconds.
Yeah.
So humans are not so efficient.
Not as efficient, no.
Okay, I would say that's it for this week.
I think so.
Maybe we tell them how they can email us.
Right, that's what we teased earlier. You've been waiting anxiously to find out.
Or you skipped 2 years.
Or that. So please email us at michaellasagna5@gmail.com, and in the subject put the number 45.
Definitely. The name of the episode. The number
of the episode, yeah. You can put other words in there too, but please put the number 45, and that way when we look through our emails, we'll know that you're responding to this one.
So even if you say 45 fluffy bunnies, then we know it was episode 45.
We will.
Okay, then thanks for listening, and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.